Hey, this is Bill. I got another great recipe for those chilly nights. So this is something. It's really not difficult, and I kind of come up with a new version of how to make this recipe. This is French onion soup, and you know, I used to be kind of horrified by the whole idea that it took so much effort. You had to buy oxtail bones and broil them and all this junk and make your stock and you know, thank goodness we can buy stock in the store now, so that, you know, basically pour it out of the box, okay, and it really is as good. I always use unsalted. I got some half a stick of butter here. It's just finishing melting. I'll turn up just a hair so it's ready to go sizzle when I do this. There it goes. So, a couple things. If you want to make this vegetarian, you could use vegetable stock. And then I get a lot, of course, you know, well, but there's still like butter and cheese. So if you're willing to eat dairy as a vegetarian, that's the way to make it vegetarian. Because I can't make this completely vegetarian or call it vegetarian, I'm going to stick with the beef. I like the depth of the flavor, and it was really easy to make. Alright, so I got half a stick of butter in my pot here. I have 2 pounds of yellow onion that I sliced. And these aren't as sweet as I want them to be. I got them from the local produce place, and they're usually really sweet. Not going to have an effect on the recipe, but it's definitely making my eyes water a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about why we're going to cook these down. We're going to get these onions just a little cooked. So the best way to cook onion is, I like to cut it in half. Also, a reminder, if you want your onions to last, don't peel that hard outer skin off. That just exposes the inside of the onion, and it's gonna rot faster. So I always cut the ends off, slice mine in half. That way I can kind of see what it looks like. You know, when you get fresh onions, even onions from the grocery store, onions can start to grow, and you can get some little green growers inside, and just pull them out. That's why I always cut them in half first. I don't just slice them whole, because that's a really easy way to do it. The other thing is, just a reminder, is that, you know, just your basic yellow onion is all you need. For 2 pounds, it took me 3 large onions, and I did weigh them. And if you're one of those fortunate people that just loves to buy kitchen gadgets, a mandolin makes this really easy. I like to use a knife. I can slice it pretty, you know, evenly sized. You want to slice it pretty thin, and I just want to cook these down just a little bit, because we're gonna simmer for a while. And when I was taking them off the cutting board, you know, I'm always looking for the bad spots, or, you know, the stuff I really don't want in there. This should look like really pretty nice slices of onion. And considering that's like, you know, there's like 4 ingredients in this thing, you can take a little extra time. So I start to see. And remember, safety comes first. If you're using a mandolin, always use a guard. It's really easy to get going fast, and if you're holding it with your fingers, you can do a wicked job on your fingers. I think for me, a knife's easier to clean than a mandolin, so I'll stick with a knife. But they do make ones that come apart a lot easier. I think I'm running out of room in my kitchen, so I probably don't have any place to put it. Actually, I'm going to have to resort to my bedroom closet to stash all my stuff. Alright, so now we've got this sweating, looking good. And this is just kind of fun thing to do, you know? When you go out to a restaurant, in fact I was out it was Thanksgiving weekend, great restaurant in town, and I'll give it a shout out. It was May O'Malley's, and they had really, really good French onion soup. And so I was like, made me think about it. I gotta make it. I've been toying with it. I've been trying to get the recipe where I wanted it, and that kind of forced me. It's kind of like I still have a fondue pot, and I used to love making cheese fondue, or beef fondue. It's kind of, you know, it was kind of a thing when I was a kid. My parents made it once in a while for parties, and then I started doing it. But yeah, no one seems to be, you know, in the mood for that anymore. So we'll just, all right. Yeah, these are pretty well done. I got a little liquid. I just turned it up. I want to evaporate some of the liquid out of the bottom because I'm not really making. I don't want to really thicken it, but I want just enough flour to give it some body. So, because you think about it, half a stick of butter is 4 tablespoons, and I only use 2 tablespoons of butter, so it's certainly not going to be a roux of any kind. And these are like filling up the pot, and they're down to about halfway filling up the pot, so I know we've got some things going on here. Like I said, these were a little stronger than I expected, which is fine. It'll cook down to nothing. It's going to cook for half an hour. But standing over it is certainly going to make my eyes water a little bit. All right. And you could use a medallion. You could use a white onion. They're kind of expensive, but white onion worked just as well for this. Okay. I gotta take a step back. Alright, so I got me 2 tablespoons of flour. I always want to cook out the flour a couple minutes. Make sure it's combined in here real good. I used to be afraid of flour getting lumpy when you do this, but guess what? It's going to cook for half an hour. Alright, it's not. Flour lumps are not going to exist after that long. Let's get some really old flour. Alright, everything's nice and even. Whew. Man. So, I need 2 big boxes, 2 quarts of stock. Like I said, I'm using beef, so it's better to pour it, get some air in it. Ooh. Makes it dry. I can tell it's at that point where it's losing its potency. It's been cooking long enough. Just want to keep it, make sure it's staying hot. That's why it's slow. Everything we're adding is room temperature. looks so beautiful. I think it's funny that a lot of the food we eat really has to have some visual appeal to it, and there's just something about French onion soup that I think is great. Probably going to upset a few people by saying this, but I think the richness of the beef stock certainly adds to that. But vegetables fine too. That's my disclaimer. Should have got a bigger pot. There's just something about onion soup, probably the way it's prepared and served, that it just tastes so good. But you always have to be careful, you know, that first bite into the cheese. Take that roof of your mouth right off. Concerned it should have got a bigger pot. Make great onion gravy. Just get out the boat motor and okay. So I just want to make sure we get this up to a good simmer. Make some room. Just start. Okay, perfect. All right, so I don't forget, I got my timer going here. Let's give it a little bedazzling. I want this half an hour of simmering. I don't want rolling boil, we just want to simmer. We just want to see some bubbles coming up through. In the meantime, let's talk about how we finish this off. So, believe it or not, this is really nice fresh bread from the local bakery, and a lady there makes this really good Cuban bread. It works out really perfect for this because it's nice and dense. French bread works too. I don't, you know, obviously in restaurants they have someone that makes croutons the size of their bowls, so we're gonna kind of make do because I'm not that famous. But all I want to do, I just want to cut us some, you know, finger width. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I let this, bought this yesterday, so it's a little crusty, which was good. Makes it easier to slice. I'll tell you, this stuff makes like the best sandwiches and stuff. I love this bread. She also must be the same that makes the tres leches there, because that's really good too. Keep those fingers out of the way. Did I get one more out? Sure. Okay. So, I got my cookie sheet. I'll move in a second. I'm going to just kind of lay out my pieces of bread, all different sizes. That's probably a failure piece, but that's okay. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, so I'm going to get rid of my cutting board. Alright, so I got my oven. 375. And you know, in a restaurant they take the day-old bread and they make croutons. And they usually take a mixture of butter and oil and seasoning and cube the bread and toss it in, spread it on cookie sheets with parchment paper. But to simplify this, what I'm going to do is, this is a really big jug, so I'm going to try really hard to do this, is I take my olive oil, put my thumb over it. You can always brush it if you can't do this. Just put some in a bowl. I'm just going to drizzle. In the olden days, I used to butter bread and put it in the toaster. I'm sure that's what Julia Childs would say. Oops. Make sure they all get a pretty good drizzle on them. Try not to drop the bottle. I do this when I make little crostinis, like when I have make something like a tuna tartare or something. It tastes really good. So like I said, I got the oven at 375 degrees. Put, oops, close one. I'm just going to keep my eye on it. I'm going to guess about 6 minutes. When it's all done, I'm going to tell you. So remember, I've got this pot simmering. Just see some, little white foam on top. Nothing aggressive. And it's going to be 30 minutes. It's got 24 minutes, 24 and a half minutes left. And I'm going to watch this, my croutons, and have them hopefully out and cooled when we come back in 24 minutes, and we'll show you how we're going to put this all together, finish it up. Alright, see you back. Alright, believe it or not, soup's just lovely. And I'm going to show you these. So these came out nice and crusty. These are perfect. The olive oil just kind of gives them some like fruity flavor. This is still a little toasty. And I let these go is probably, I'm going to guess about almost 8 minutes, 375 to get the bread as crusty as I want it to without burning. You can use your broiler, but I really want more dehydrated than toasted. You know, I don't want to make it all hard and harsh and funky. All right, so let's finish this up. First of all, I'm going to put me some fresh pepper. I used to put white pepper in because, you know, it doesn't discolor, but this is pretty dark and rich, so we're going to do fine on that. I have 2 cups of wine, and people don't realize this, but you want about 4 ounces of really finely grated cheese. I can't grate it this fine myself, so I buy it. Stir that in there. That's going to also be a thickener, and it's going to add some flavor. Get that all mixed in there. Go on to the next step. I'm telling you all my best secrets now, let me tell you. So it just changes the consistency a little bit. It makes it really nice. So we want to get this right back up to a nice hot temperature, and that cheese is, and the cheese isn't going to be stringing here because there's so much volume. It's literally going to disappear into this. I can't even see it anymore. All right, a little on the spoon from where when I first started stirring it. So I got my 2 cups of white wine. I'm gonna tell this to you like I always do. We just want to cook this long enough to really heat it through and get the alcohol out. Shouldn't take too long. I'm going to reduce it just a little bit. That was room temperature, so it shouldn't take long to get this back to a nice bubbliness. Oh. Looks good. I'm just keeping stirring it because I want to keep the cheese suspended and all melted throughout. Let this boil up. So while that's doing it, we're going to talk about wine. What wine would I use? Well, obviously it's French onion soup. So, you know, I've got this whiteboard out. This is something relatively inexpensive, something, you know, readily available, and it tastes good. It's going to be a little earthier. If you're not a big fan of wine this dry, one of my ones that I like to fall back on is, this is a German wine, the Skurstemeyer wine, which is also really good. It's going to give a lot of depth to the soup. Either one of these I would recommend. This is a good second option, and I think there are a lot of people out there, if you're not a big fan of really dry wine, that's a really good option for you. Okay, it's just about there. The wine's all cooking out right now. You can really smell it. Lots of onion. can't remember. I know I read somewhere, you know, I read cooking, well, I've been looking at cookbooks my whole life, and now on the internet, you know, you can access anything about putting the cheese in here. And I just think it adds a little to it. And it's not as brothy, it just gives a little more depth to it. I always laugh, you know, French onion soup is kind of like you know, a good stew or chili. You know, you can leave it on the stove all day long and just keep grabbing bowls of it, because it's just, I mean, it's kind of a, you can make a huge batch, and this would be a fun thing to have at a party. You know, you throw it in the oven for a few minutes just to get that cheese melted. Okay, let's see where we're at. Amazing, 2 cups of room temperature wine really brought this down a little bit. Of course, all my stirring is also keeping the temperature down. It doesn't have time to sit and figure out how to boil. Now we're cooking. All right. So now what do we do with it? Got this beautiful soup. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my bowl, my ladle here, reach down in there and get lots of onion. It just smells so good. I'm going to tell you straight up that I have to wash dishes too, so I'm not a big fan of putting the soup in a little bowl so you can melt the cheese all over the bowl, because that's a darn mess to clean up. Alright, just throwing it up there. Alright, so got myself some cheese in here. It's really hot. I mean some soup. So I'm just going to take, got a couple of these little guys, float them in there. And here's my real secret. Everyone thinks Swiss cheese goes on the top, provolone. It's perfect round little slice, look at that, fits right in there. Isn't that great? Since I'm not a big fan of burning my fingers, I'm going to put this in the oven. It's going to take about 5 minutes to melt that cheese and get it bubbly. We're going to see you back as soon as I can get this out, and I'll show you what it looks like. Hello everyone. Unfortunately, our little bunny Lewis was deciding that he had to terrorize the house, so he had to come out and see what's going on, so he's going to join us for this one. Pretty rambunctious for 8 years old. He's one of a number of our guests. We actually have 4 routes. I was hoping he'd calm down, but I just... He's calm down. Alright. Off goes the oven. It's been about 6 minutes. Play along for this to get really nice and toasty hot. Oh, yeah. Remember, this bowl is really hot. Do not forget that. I like the little silicone pads, they really help. Look. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Oh well, I guess he's decided he's going to go home now. Yeah, they love terrorizing our house. So obviously, if you're in a restaurant, this is the way you're going to serve it. It's beautiful, It's hot, it's gooey, smells great. You know, don't skimp on the ingredients. I like to use the real nice aged Swiss cheese that I mixed in, and that is actually a sharp provolone I use, Conte provolone, because it adds a little more flavor, just because I think it's aged a little bit. But just warn your guests: A, don't touch the bowl, and B, don't take the roof of your mouth off. But this is just wonderful, and of course I'll have a great picture of it for you. I'll see in the beginning of the video. Have fun, give it a try, and enjoy it. All right, we will see you next time.